You guys, look how many pages I've used in this sketchbook since I started learning to draw again. This is super exciting for me because of all the practice I'm getting, but also kind of unfortunate because now I have to buy another sketchbook. Anyways, here's an old small sketchbook that I have from I don't know when that contains some really bad art. And you know, it's important to keep practicing drawing, not just sitting down for long practice sessions, but just every day drawing whatever comes to your mind. So I'm gonna do that and fill up the rest of the sketchbook. And I was thinking maybe after I fill it up, I can do a really long, big, comprehensive sketchbook tour of this old sketchbook. So, getting into today's episode, I thought I could make a sort of time capsule of my current drawing abilities. Most of my goals when it comes to drawing have to do with drawing figures and characters and stuff from my imagination without reference. And I know that reference is totally important when practicing, 100%. You're not going to learn how to draw something unless you look at it. But for this episode, I wanted to see what my visual library is now. Like, if I wanted to draw something, could I? And so, this first drawing, I thought it would be fitting to draw my character in D&D that I just made for a new campaign that my friend is doing. She's supposed to be a planar warrior wood elf, whose name is May Rin. It was gonna be this society where they're worshipping this ancient religion, but something happened and none of their prayers really work anymore, but they're still gonna keep going. And so I'm excited to see where I can go with that story in our D&D campaign. As you can see, my drawing is really meh. I mean, looking back at the playthrough of me drawing this thing, I see that it looks really wrong, but I don't know how to fix it, which is really frustrating. Like, throughout the years, I've watched a lot of tutorials and courses about figure drawing, gesture drawing, anatomy, and stuff like that, but I guess I never really practiced it enough to have it sink in. Like, I mean, it's definitely a lot better than before, but I feel like it's not good enough. I mean, as you saw from my first attempts, I was really wanting to go for a more ambitious composition, like some really cool pose other than just facing straight forward, but I think that's the limit of my skill right now, just the picture of a character facing forward. And as you can see, I am struggling with knowing what I want. Because I draw a leg that looks fine and then I think, oh no, she looks too squat. Her legs need to be longer. As an elf, she should be taller and more graceful. And it takes me a lot of tries to get it to somewhere that I'm halfway satisfied with. I feel like this drawing turned out really overwhelming compared to what I had in my mind. I wanted something ornate. She was supposed to wear, like, ceremonial clothing that was representative of a time before the present, but it's sort of locked in time, and I just got something sort of basic, but only because I wasn't sure how to do it. Clothing folds. I have no idea how those work. Clothing in general and how it lays on the body, shading. All of this stuff is stuff I need to work on, and it's difficult, I guess, because it's just so much I need to learn, and I don't know. I guess it's just really intimidating when you know that there's so much out there, so it's hard to get started. So in the end, I went back to the most basic pose possible, the character standing straight up, facing forward in a rather stiff position, just because I really don't know what else to do, and I feel like anything else would have looked really bad. And I feel kind of embarrassed showing the little sketches on the first page, because I guess if it weren't for this, I wouldn't want to show it to anyone, because I just feel like it looks really bad, and I know I can do better, but that's the point. You're not always at your top performing all the time. And sometimes you need to make stuff that looks bad to get it out of your system and learn what to do next time. Drawing faces at a small scale like this has always confused me because I see other artists doing it absolutely amazingly. Like just a few simple lines for the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and they have a beautiful, compelling character face. And I don't know how they do it. I would really like to learn because I think it's just amazing, but I feel like my drawings never have that same effect. And I do think that it just takes more practice. And I haven't been practicing lately, at least with faces. Just drawing boxes, which is fine. I'm learning different skills. But I do need to sort of diversify my training, I guess. And here I'm using the reference of my hand. I feel like that's fair since hopefully I will always have my hand here with me to reference. But I just wanted to see what can I do from my mind. This isn't the best way to practice, but I think it's a good way to gauge how well I can draw right now. And I do think that I'm halfway happy with how it turned out. So for the next day, I decided to do a sort of cartoony style self-portrait from memory. And I thought this would also be something good to put into a time capsule like this because, well, I will always be using myself as a subject of my drawings. I think it's a lot of fun, and I don't have to feel bad if I make it look bad because it's just me. I'm not insulting someone else's looks by drawing them badly. And I guess, the more I draw myself, the more I will be familiar with my own facial features and maybe even make something that's really recognizable just from memory, which is exciting. I guess for these drawings, I mostly worked off of symbols. Like, I know that my eyes are this general kind of shape. I know that my hair definitely is this general kind of shape. My nose is a nose and my mouth is a mouth. Not something that is completely very customized to myself. And looking at it now, I don't think it looks that much like me, other than just the general appearance of the hair and stuff like that. But I am happy with the hair. It's always been one of my weak points, and I think this turned out okay, which was exciting to see. I guess I'm always afraid to draw things like the full body of the elf, or just a simple face, because I'm afraid it'll turn out badly, but I need to stop doing that, because I'm not going to get better if I don't draw the things that I'm bad at. And here I'm trying to do a 3/4 view face, and I don't know if it's not already readily apparent, but the only face I really know how to draw is straight on, which is a huge weakness because, the whole point of Draw a Box is to feel the 3D form of the object that you're drawing. And I don't have that with anything, really. The way I draw faces is completely 2D. It's completely just on the plane of the page. And I'm having a lot of trouble figuring out how to feel it, I guess. As you can see, it's, something is happening. It just doesn't look right at all, but I had no idea how to fix it. I don't really know how to draw. I've memorized a formula for drawing a face head-on. There's not really a formula that exists for drawing a face at an angle, and I'm completely lost. I know that it doesn't look right, and I know that it looks off, but I just don't know how to fix it, and that's really frustrating. Also, I have no idea where the neck is supposed to connect to the head, because I don't have that sense of 3D space. And also, I've always thought that the profile shot was really difficult because, I don't know, there's angles involved with how far the chin goes out and how high the nose points, and I've never gotten that down. But I'm actually halfway happy with how this one turned out. I don't know if it's very accurate. I hardly ever see myself from the side like this. Actually, I feel like my chin should jet out a bit more, but I don't like that about myself, so I feel like it looks better this way. Maybe I should work on getting it more accurate instead of drawing myself the way I want to be, and giving myself plastic surgery, translating my looks onto the page. Anyways, this is my current skill level in drawing faces from different angles. It's amateur. Not that I can say that it's horrible, but it's definitely amateur. And I wasn't planning on including this, but since I already did a charcoal drawing for my other video, and if you want to see the full speed drawing, you can go take a look at that. I decided to include that here and make a few comments about it. I actually have a little bit of experience doing charcoal. I took a drawing class maybe about a year ago, and we mostly used charcoal. And I do really enjoy using charcoal, mostly because it erases so easily. And if you watch the full speed drawing, you'll see that I erased that mouth probably 10 times, 20 times, and those eyes come and go because I just didn't feel like it was right. And that's fine. I feel like that's a huge issue with me, where I feel like, oh, I've already spent so long working on this one eye or something, and I just realized that it's too big and I need to make it smaller. Sometimes it's hard for me to let go of all the work I've already put on it and erase the whole thing and start over, which I have to do. If the base isn't right, no level of refinement will make it better. And as you can see, I just spent all that time on that nose and I had to erase the whole thing and start over. And that kind of stuff is really hard for me, I guess. I remember watching speed drawings and speed paints and stuff of people working digitally, and I'd be like, wow, that arm looks really nice! And then they would look at it and just erase the whole thing and redraw the whole arm. And I would just think, but it was beautiful. Like, why would you spend all that time drawing it and then erase it and start over? And now I realize that when you're an artist, you see things. You see things, I guess. I wasn't experienced enough back then to see what they saw, to see the things that needed to be fixed, and they were brave enough, strong enough to fix it. And I feel like that's a major thing I need to do. And I guess that's the reason I like using charcoal so much, because it doesn't really punish you for going back and fixing your mistakes. You start with a toned paper. None of it is bright white, none of it is perfect anymore, so you can't mess it up. You can just keep taking it off and putting it back on, and taking it off and putting it back on, and it doesn't damage the paper if you're gentle enough with it. I guess the corollary to that is I kept on, touching the black parts of the charcoal with my fingers and lifting up some charcoal and then having to go over it and fill in the white spaces again. But I feel like there's a small price to pay for all this flexibility you get. And I liked working in black and white. It takes out a lot of the complexity with color, which is really nice. It's nice to just be able to see how dark is it, how light is it, and try to recreate that the best you can. For the video, I actually wanted to trace the reference picture first because I really wanted it to be perfect for my video. But then when I realized that my paper was too thick to trace over it from the light of my monitor, I had to draw it from observation. And I was really scared of messing up because the part of the picture that I really wanted to capture was the emotion in her face. And I wasn't sure if I would be able to do it. And I'm actually pretty happy with the result, and I'm really glad that I wasn't able to trace it and run away from this skill I needed to develop. And here I'm using this charcoal pencil to add in the really dark darks to the piece. And I was planning on using this for all of the background, except it started making this really gross feeling. I don't know, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I just didn't want to keep going. And it was scraping up all the charcoal that was already on the paper, and it was just a mess. So after I took a picture of it, I put it in Photoshop and darkened the background that way. And you can see how I did that. It's not any next level stuff. I'm a beginner in Photoshop too. But that's all in the speed drawing video. Okay, you guys, look at how black my old kneaded eraser is after doing that charcoal piece. So I have the other eraser that I bought when I bought the charcoal because I knew this would happen. Okay, so for this last piece, it's going to be completely within my comfort zone. I guess if I were to pick anything, the one thing that I've drawn the most, that I can draw the best, and something that would actually be proud of showing people, it would be drawing girls' faces or women's faces. I guess it's what I like and what I'm good at, so therefore I draw it the most, and then it sort of feeds into itself and I get better at it. And I will say that I am proud of my skill level so far, but I do think I'm very limited too. I can draw this neutral headshot, and that's it. And I want to become good at drawing everything as well as I can draw this. I guess, if you know what I mean. I want to draw full bodies. I want to draw heads in different angles. I want to draw all of the things. I want to draw a mouth in a position that is not this kind of neutral smile. I don't know how to draw open mouths, smiling mouths, talking mouths, or anything like that. I don't know how to draw eyes in different positions. I don't know how to draw heads and faces at different angles, and I want to learn. Like, it's not enough to just draw this, even though I do feel happy with the way I can do this. I don't really have the understanding of 3D space of the head, just the, I guess, two-dimensional existence of the face-forward headshot. I don't know if any of this makes sense. I just want to draw well, I guess. And I don't know. I see lots of art and it's just breathtaking, and I want my art to be like that. And also, if you're noticing, I didn't really put any details into the ears because I don't remember what they look like. Sounds horrible. I was just sitting there. I mean, I usually draw from a reference, so I'm just sitting here thinking, I don't know what ears look like. I'll just shade it in, and nobody will notice that there's no detail in the ears because I don't know what they look like. Like, this is stuff I want to work on. I want to be able to draw anything I want from my imagination. And I know it's possible because people do it all the time. People do it beautifully and wonderfully. And I want to get there. But I will say that I am very excited that I can draw something like this even from my imagination. But I won't settle and I won't be satisfied until I can do everything to the quality that I want. And I don't think that's a problem. I think it's good to strive for greater skills, I suppose. And hopefully I can look back on this one day and be proud of how far I've come, say, in 100 hours of practice from now, or 200 hours, or maybe after my 10,000 hours of practice. Thanks for watching, and keep learning and growing. Have a good week.